Hello friends, welcome to the Kumbi-Gikku Show on Gikkudiaries YouTube channel. It is a fortnight since IPL 2025 began, and last week, K. Srinath, the former player representing Tamil Nadu and Karnataka and the co-author of the Handbook of Cricket Psychology, co-authoring with M.N. Vishwanath, he and I discussed the first 11 matches of IPL 2025. Here, in this second episode of the review of the matches, we look at matches 12 to 19, which was Mumbai Indians versus KKR in Mumbai the last Monday, till Gujarat Titans winning against Sunrisers Hyderabad in Hyderabad last night. Kesri, welcome to the Kumbi-Gikku Show. How have you been?
All well, Jikku. Thank you very much. So far, so good.
So how do you look at the second week of IPL 2025, where we have seen some surprising results, some interesting and very good results, and out of the 8 matches, the teams visiting have won more than the host teams. So how do you look at this last week gone by?
Well, surprising factor is the home game advantage has still not come to the forefront. Because as you mentioned, CSK losing their home games, RCB having started off well, losing their home game against GT, and the most surprising element has been that of Sunrisers Hyderabad. When we started off initially, we were looking at them as one of the front runners in this edition of IPL. In fact, we discussed about their top-heavy batting strategy in the last week. I don't think they've made any sort of amends or course correction not being done. So basically, teams have struggled to hold on to their fortress. And yes, again, points on board for Mumbai Indians, 5-time IPL winner, and CSK again, losing out all the games. So 2 teams which have 10 titles between them still are languishing at the bottom half. The good sign has been that DC has maintained their mojo and are still on top of the table. GT making giant strides, winning their away games and climbing up to the second spot. So again, very early days. We've still just about 3 or 4 games is what max each team has played. The long tournament which has 14 games each. But an interesting week. As I said, 2 fancy teams still languishing at the bottom. So it's really, from here on, it's going to be catch up for them.
Right. Like you mentioned, SRH, one of the contenders that we spoke of in the build-up to this IPL. 5 played, won their opening match, but have lost 4 consecutive matches. And how heavily dependent are they on their top 3 and the 3 left-handers? We had Ishan Kishan score that century in the opening match. And whenever Abhishek Sharma and Travis Head fire, they post close to 300. But if they fall within the power play, it is just a matter of formalities for the opposite team, isn't it?
I think the whole strategy is revolving around either my way or the highway. Because they are just believing in slam bang cricket. Like you said, the top 5 is one of the best in this edition of IPL. You spoke about the 3 left-handers now, followed by you have the likes of Nitish Reddy, you have Henrik Larsson, and of course you have the find in Aniket Verma. I mean, no side can boast of a more powerful batting side in this edition of IPL. But what is lacking, I believe, is for one of the top 5 or 6 batters to bat through the 20 overs. Not many of them are the sort of players who can work the ball around for runs and maneuver the strike, like what Washington Sundar was able to do yesterday against their former side. So I think this whole format is just not about slam bang cricket, hitting the long balls or boundaries or sixers. We didn't see many games going in excess of 200 in this week. That means the bowlers also have started hitting the straps. They're getting their act together. So I think it's high time that, SRH get the strategy worked out better. And they need to get someone in the top who can provide the solidity in their batting unit. Because this can fire on an occasion. But so far what we've seen after the first game, they've misfired most of the times. So So how soon they can get their act together, it's better for SRH. Otherwise, I think coming into the third week, if they're going to have such results, I think then they'll be struggling to catch up with the other teams at the top.
Sri, you mentioned two very interesting points. One, it's not like they go after the bowling right from the start, but you have to also play some good quality cricket like they sometimes do in test matches. Anchor the innings, and we saw that KL Rahul do it brilliantly for DelhiCapitals against Chennai Super Kings in Chennai Super Kings home ground. And yesterday, Shubman Gill, of whom we have been talking about how he will be as a captain in the second innings, as a full-time captain for GT. He was as good as KL Rahul, anchoring the innings, staying till the end. KL Rahul batted from the first over till the 20th against CSK, and yesterday, Shubman Gill was class. So that shows how you have to also play the waiting game when the others around you are striking, isn't it?
Yeah, man, absolutely. Two classic examples. We saw guys who batted deep, took the game down deep. And moreover, it's about assessing conditions, because every day when new surfaces are doled out, it's not going to be the same one like you played the last game around. So, as I said, the problem has been, they need to have somebody who can provide that solidity in the middle or up in the top three for SRH. I mean, absolutely. KL Rahul taking a break after the Champions Trophy, the way he assessed the conditions in Chennai Stadium, that was fabulous. I think the sort of start they got, they lost 2-3 quick wickets up front after that partnership with Samir Rizvi. I mean, it wasn't a pitch which could, look at posting a score of anything in 200. But he assessed the conditions well. He realized that, yes, 180 plus was the target we are looking at. And yes, like you said yesterday, Shubman Gill, he showed what quality is all about. I mean, it's about playing proper cricketing shots. It's just not always about trying to be innovative about what we do. We have players, cut out for that, the likes of Surya Kumar Yadav or Hardik Pandya. These are guys who are innovative in this format of the game. But there's no substitute, for quality, technique, or people with the ability who can spend more time in the middle. So I think they showed what the quality of spending time in the middle would fetch you those results you are looking at. So I think class act by both Shubman Gill and KL Rahul.
And if you have the basics correct, you can succeed at any level, isn't it? And KL Rahul and Shubman Gill have got the good grounding required for to succeed at the highest level, and they have been successful in their international careers. You also mentioned about the bowling, and one thing about that was key to Gujarat Titans winning their last 3 games on the trot have been the bowlers. Mohammad Siraj, brilliant bowling performance against his old team RCB in Bengaluru, and also yesterday against Sunrisers in Hyderabad. 2 back-to-back Man of the Match award-winning performances. And before that, Prasad Krishna also was responsible for GT winning their away game in their home game against Mumbai Indians. So their bowling has been top-notch, isn't it? Even though Rashid Khan is yet to fire, though he has been slightly economical, but not among the wickets.
Yeah, absolutely. Always the talk around will be about Rashid Khan. And mind you, they are missing the services of KG Rabada, who's one of the finest exponents of the new ball. He can bowl at any given point in time in a T20 game. Yes, it's been the resurgence of somebody like Mohammad Siraj. He's been a proven performer. But to me, the standout has been 2 bowlers which I would put my hand on in GT. One is Prasid. I think he spoke about getting the lengths right, because he's a tall bowler who can extract that extra bounce which not many bowlers do possess. He's bowling those slow bounces, slow ones. He's mixing it up. And also Sai Kishore, very clever operator. He sees somebody, who's in the mold of Ravichandran Ashwin. He thinks a lot about his game. He works on the speed. In fact, in yesterday's game, if you look at him set up Klaasen, was a brilliant move. He bowled slow in the air, though he got hit down the ground for a 4. He changed his angle, came around the stump, bowled the arm ball to get him bowled. I think as a unit, Gujarat, though they haven't got those big fancy names with them, they've done extremely well as a unit. And to be honest, the way Shubman Gill has handled them, kudos to him. I think he's ticked most of the boxes. Yes, to me, Sai Kishore and Prasid, of course, along with Siraj leading the pack, have been brilliant. And if, as you said, Rashid Khan can find his mojo and get back to the party, I think certainly at present, the way they are looking, they certainly are there on top.
Right. And like you said, Shubman Gill has been managing his resources well. Another captain who impressed me in the first week and also continues to impress is Delhi Capitals' Axar Patel. He seems to be getting everything right, isn't it? 3 matches, 3 wins, top of the table. Delhi Capitals seem to be doing nothing wrong at the moment. Do you see anything that they seem to be lacking, or they are just perfect?
I think maybe, strategy-wise, last game, the talk was about would it have been better to have Asutosh Sharma come up the order a bit and bat a few more overs. I think minus that, I think they ticked all boxes. And mind you, Axar didn't bowl his full quota overs in the last game against CSK. That shows the depth in the bowling they had. Using the, experience and quality of somebody like Mitch Starc up front with 3 overs in the power play, which very similarly Shubman Gill did. So I think the power play is a cutting edge for both sides. So it's about getting up to 60, 70 for one as a batting unit, or if the bowling unit can make inroads and get 2 or 3 early wickets in the first 6 overs. Obviously, there is no room for consolidation in this format. No, the new batters who come in, they can't find their feet and say, I'm just going to knock a few balls around. No, it doesn't work that way. So I think in that way, the potent force for, Delhi has been the new ball attack. They've been right on the money, picking up a couple of wickets in the power play, which has helped their, spin bowling come into the forefront. The likes of, we have Axar Patel himself, Kuldeep Yadav, and the leg spinner in Vipraj Nigam. I think they are looking like a solid unit, again, without many big fancy names. It's more about working together as a unit. I think on similar lines with GT, I think these are the 2 teams that are really, going to be looked at very seriously in the coming weeks.
Right. So it's Delhi Capitals number 1, GT number 2, RCB, who play Mumbai Indians later in the day at the Wankhede number 3, and Punjab Kings, after having begun with 2 consecutive wins, have dropped down to 4th position, courtesy their defeat to Rajasthan Royals in their home ground, Molanpur. So what does that mean? It's early days, but still they have been pinched severely or given the wake-up call, you think?
I mean, it's a long format tournament, Gikku. So a loss in the early stage, it's just going to, make them get better. It's not about maybe a couple of boxes not ticked also would serve them well. Yeah, certainly a wake-up call, I would say. Teams win 5 or 6 on the trot, and suddenly, a couple of losses, you would see them languishing at the bottom. So early days and nothing to really worry about, because again, they have a very sensible leader in their unit who's worked really well with the side. He's moved out of KKR and come into Punjab. So nothing to worry about. But as I said, yes, to get up the ladder very early at times is easy, but to sustain that, maybe past the halfway mark, that is when the race gets really hot. And that's a time when we need to see as to how teams have coped up per se in terms of performance, their injury woes, all these issues. So very early days, but yes, certainly they would come back really strong because they're a very, very good all-round side.
Also in the middle of the table are KKR, and it's nice to see Lucknow Super Giants win a couple of matches, but then it's painful to see the way Rishabh Pant has been getting out. A total of 19 runs in 32 balls from 4 matches. But the others around him seem to be striking. Mitchell Marsh, he just goes bang, bang and bang. And Nicholas Pooran, the 2 heavyweights of their batting lineup. But what have you found in Rishabh Pant that he's not getting the runs? Or is it just that the pressure, or he just plays the way he does, and if he connects, it goes? Otherwise, it's a dismissal for him.
Well, Rishabh has been around enough to know what he is, but he always keeps the viewers, his own teammates, the opponents on tenterhooks. because nobody knows what is coming his way.
And
that's the way he's played his game.
He himself doesn't know what he is going to do or what is coming his way.
Exactly. He is a pretty impulsive player, I would say. Maybe, a couple of yards ahead of somebody, maybe like a Virender Sehwag, what he used to be in his playing days. But you won't associate the term saying rash cricket with Rishabh Pant, because he's known to play the way he is. Maybe yes, the pressure of captaincy weighing down on him, and the tag with which he's been bought by LSG, the buzz that is going around in the social media circuit, that whether he is worth the wait for what he was roped in. So obviously at the top level, however big a player you are, you've been a proven performer, certainly these things would be weighing on your shoulders. But to me, it's just about one hit away. It's not even one knock. A couple of balls from the middle. It's about a 6 or 4 for Rishabh Pant, and he could turn tables around very easily. So having known Rishabh, his quality, it's just a matter of time that he's going to turn the clock back. So I don't think the day is far off. Once he fires, you mentioned with the likes of Nicholas Pooran and Mitch Marsh, they could be as dangerous as any side in this IPL.
And in one of the innings, we saw Aiden Markram anchor the innings when wickets were falling, just like something similar to what KL and Shubman Gill in the last couple of days. So he also has got among runs. But one bowler who LSG have and who has impressed, Digvesh Singh Rathi. Have you seen him in the matches that you have umpired? We see him copying the style of Sunil Narayan, and who he admits is his idol. He has been impressive. What do you think of Digvesh Singh Rathi?
Yeah, I mean, he comes across as a very, very, shrewd cricketer. One who knows his strengths and his ability to hit the surface. He's not somebody who's trying far too many things to fox batsmen out. His strength is to bowl good lines and lengths, which he's been doing. And yes, I think the find of the second week of IPL has been Rathi. I mean, he's out-bowled, a lot of known names in his side. So that's something that is a revelation for, LSG, a new kid coming on the block. And yes, again, like we didn't see much of, Vignesh Puttur or Asutosh Sharma in the second week. An unknown entity always coming in can do pretty well in the first couple of games. And today, with the sort of analysis that have been done about batters and bowlers, if he doesn't, hold strong on the ground, he could again go Ori in the next couple of weeks. And it could get only better for him because, as I always mention, getting into the business end, heat catching up wickets, getting a little bit tacky, he could be more than a handful. But certainly, the kid looks a very strong kid, bowling good lines and lengths, and temperamentally he comes across as a very, very sound kid. So it's only a matter of time that we need to see. Too early to judge. The next couple of weeks will really test his skill of not only ability as a bowler, but also his temperament.
Yeah, Digvesh Rathi, he has caught the scouts eye performing in the Delhi Premier League. And one more factor that has caught the eye has been his way of celebrating after taking a wicket. I felt it was harsh on him to be fined 25% for his notebook style of celebrating. I feel he's just ticking his boxes or adding one more wicket to the list of wickets that he has taken. How do you look at it from an umpire's point of view, and have you seen anything wrong with that kind of celebration? And he has done it almost every time.
Twice.
And the second time he did was he was fined 50% of his match fee and docked 2 demerit points in addition to the first demerit point. I thought it was a little harsh on him, but then you have the umpire's view.
Yeah, there is something called as a code of conduct, which governs the players and also the match officials. So there are do's and don'ts that a player can be a part of. When it comes to a send-off, per se, after a wicket has been taken. Now, why dismiss the batter? The batter is dismissed. I have every right to celebrate. But why do I, run right into the face of the batter, try to say something to him or point a finger and tell him this is where the dressing room is? So if you remember, when India played West Indies a few years back, I think it was Keswick Williams who did a very similar thing, the notebook style when he ticked off somebody like Virat Kohli. There's no space for, celebrating in a derogatory way. And these players are very well aware of the way they need to put up good behavior. Mind you, Jikku, these guys are all icons. After game 1, when he did well, you would have seen hundreds of Digvej Ratis, spring up, try to emulate him, copy his style and do that. So every time when you're on television, there is that much more responsibility on you to behave the way you're supposed to. Why do we say that cricket is a gentleman's game? It's a no-contact sport wherein not many things are said unruly like it happens in other sport. So I think having been aware of it and docked the first time around, I think he should have been much more shrewd. So emotions getting over you, in the heat of moment is not an excuse. So you cut a sorry figure. Maybe the next time around, he could go in for 100% and a ban also could be on the anvil.
Yeah.
And certainly who's the loser? The player himself and the team. So I think he needs to pull up his socks. His captain and the support staff need to have a word with him and telling him, son, the behavior has to be on top of the mark like your bowling is being.
Sri, I remember this match referee from South Africa, Peter van der Merwe. He used to say about drawing a very thin line between disappointment and dissent. Where do you put this? Because you just mentioned about the code of conduct and the celebration not going into the face of the batter who is anyway on his way to the pavilion. So where do you put this?
See, when a batter is given out, so he might be disappointed or he might show dissent. It's a very thin line, as you said. It's a reaction. So when the reaction is very clear, you as a match official, there is footage available. You realize that, no, okay, fair enough. We just give him the benefit of doubt and nudge and tell him that, it's not on. But today's scenario, when you have the decision review system, a player is very well within his rights. When there are 2 reviews left in the side, he can always go up and say, there, I go for it. Now, post that, if he's still dismissed, and if he decides to knock something off on the way or whatever, that's not on. So the decision that is being made by the umpire on the field is final, which is being reiterated by the television umpire. So there's no scope for that. So it all boils down to how that moment is being viewed. Certainly the match officials would show empathy, but there are a lot of cricketers who are serial offenders. Every time you would see them on the hit list. So there is no scope, beyond that for somebody to be let go scot-free.
Right.
So it's the moment, how they catch up with it. And if there is remorse, or many a time you would see the batter or a bowler just walk up to the umpire and tell him, no, it was just in the heat of the moment. It won't happen again. Sorry about it. It's done and dusted. But if it looks very obvious and odd on television, there's no other go for the match officials. They go by what is there in the book. The penalty is levied.
And there is also this way of sending across the message, like we saw Sai Kishore do it to Hardik Pandya. Just stare at him and the message is sent across. So how do you look at that?
Jikku, a lot has been said, people, a lot of times they come and tell me, that I think you should allow some banter on the field of play. Now, what is banter? It's just not that the bowler goes up to the batter and finds out that, what did you have for breakfast? Shall we go out for a coffee today in the evening? Never ever would you, find scenarios wherein such conversations are stuck. Doesn't happen that way. It's always a sort of fiery response. Bowler doesn't want to get tongued for a 6 or hit for a 4. The same with the batter. When he hits a 4, he just walks into the space of the bowler. So these are mind games that are played. As long as, cricketers don't cross the line and nothing gets too physical, or people just get a bit more irritated wherein, they could be somebody having a fling at the other player. So that's the point in time when the umpires just jump in and say, all good, we're good to go. So that's it. So yes, it all boils down to, there's a smile on the face, there's a quiet chirp, or like what Sai Kishore did to Hardik Pandya. And today, mind you, there are stump mics which pick up a very small noise. Lip reading can happen. So nobody can get away. So that's very, very important.
Yeah, so again, coming to the bottom half of the table, MI, CSK, what should MI, of course, MI won their first match at home and today they are playing. And the big news is Jasprit Bumrah has joined Mumbai Indians. So that is something that will boost their bowling lineup. But we have to be mindful of the fact that he will not be going full throttle. He will be aware of whatever he has been coming from. How do you look at Jasprit Bumrah coming back and him being in the Mumbai Indians setup?
It's a massive boost. Any side in world cricket today would love to have Jasprit Bumrah up in the side. Yes, morally for the side, that would be a great boost. And nothing like having somebody like Bumrah. He's been a guy who can do the job for you in all three formats. With the new ball in T20 cricket, he can be lethal with the new ball, over in the middle or in the depth. He can do the job for you. Yes, how match fit is he? He's been cleared by the Centre of Excellence in Bangalore. He's been handed over to the physios with the Mumbai Indians. But will you see a Bumrah back in full throttle? Is the question mark. And putting pressure on him, saying, or the expectations of the teammates or the fans around the world would be Bumrah to come and deliver magic. He certainly, with a ball in his hand, he's a magician. But mind you, he played last in January in the BGT. Post that, it's been 3.5 months. He's not played any active cricket.
Yes.
So coming back, he has to listen to his body more than anything. I think anybody who ticks the boxes and gives him a heads up saying he's good to go. End of the day, it's Bumrah himself. What his body tells him, how he's going to respond to that is the massive thing. And no bigger stage for a comeback. RCB in Wankhede, decibels will be soaring. Now imagine him coming in and bowling to Phil Salt or Virat Kohli. What a matchup. Yes, Mumbai Indians will certainly be pumped up with the inclusion of Bumrah. But yes, they have to get a lot of things together for them. Top order not firing. And they missed the services of Rohit Sharma in the last game. And whether he would be available for this game has to be seen. And a lot of catching up to be done. And
Yes.
history is known Mumbai to be slow starters. They've made strong comebacks. But does this team have that resilience to bounce back and get back into the top? It's only time that will tell.
And among the things that happened with Mumbai Indians, the retirement of Tilak Verma in the match against LSG. He was struggling to connect. They retired him with 7 deliveries to go. But then what did you think of that decision by MI when 7 balls were needed? And it was not like there was somebody much powerful hitter who was waiting in the bench. It was Mitchell Santner, who of course I'm not belittling him. But between Tilak Verma and Mitchell Santner to go for big hits, I'll definitely stick with Tilak Verma.
I think the coach of MI stuck his neck out and said it was a strategy I had devised and wanted to go ahead with it. But what has been surprising is, if you just go by records in the last 6 to 8 months, Tilak Verma has been your best T20 batter. He's made 200s, 100 in South Africa, he got 100 in India, and he's been your best batter. Now, why on earth would you want to retire him out with 7 balls to go? There's a meaning if you're going to give a new batter who's going to come in at least 2 overs to get in and play those big shots. So very surprising. And yes, only the think tank of MI can answer this question. A lot of hue and cry was raised, and to me, honestly, on a personal note, I felt it certainly would have done a lot of damage mentally to somebody like Tilak Verma. He's a youngster who's been in the forefront and who's been one of the best batters for India in the recent past in T20. What sort of trauma he would have gone through? And that's what worries me. But otherwise, yes, it's an individual decision, or it's a team call that MI had to take. But pretty surprising one, certainly for me.
Certainly, yes. And you mentioned about, we spoke about Jasprit Bumrah, and in his absence, Mumbai Indians, like they have been known to unearth raw talent. We saw left-arm medium pacer Ashwini Kumar make his debut for Mumbai Indians, make his IPL debut, picked a wicket in his very first ball in IPL, 4 wickets against KKR last Monday. And he must be learning a lot with Bumrah in the squad, isn't it? He will just be doing everything to pick Bumrah's brain, among others.
Yes, certainly. Mumbai is known to honor talent. They had Vignesh, then we had Ashwini come in. Only worrying factor for them has been, because they have 2 left-arm seamers as overseas. Reece Topley and Trent Bolt, who've not stuck really to what they have been known for, and also has been the patchy form of Deepak Chahar.
Right.
Now with Bumrah coming back, will Chahar find a place will be a question mark. He has a lot to learn with somebody like Bumrah, a guy who can share all his experience, talk to these young boys. Certainly will be a very, very huge motivating factor for them. But it's just not about motivating other guys around him. Also, the big guns need to pull their weight around, and certainly a big game in the offing. As I said, nothing bigger than this stage for Bumrah to make a comeback. RCB, what else do you want?
RCB versus Mumbai. Finally, Sri cannot leave without asking about Chennai Super Kings and the way they went about. There were so many criticisms of the way Vijay Shankar went about. Though he scored a 50, he had 4 lives in that. A leg before, not appeal for, toe crusher from Mitchell Starc, 2 catches dropped, a run out halfway. If it was directed, he would have been gone. But what is happening to CSK, Sri? A team from Chennai, Tamil Nadu that you represented, seen CSK matches officiated. What is going on?
See, to be honest, a few of them asked me saying, did DC devise a strategy to ensure they didn't want to get Vijay Shankar out? I mean, that certainly would not be the case on paper. But, the last show, I think we spoke about how would they look at accommodating Devon Convoy.
Yes.
So Convoy came to the side. But to me, I think they have not utilized the home conditions well as number one. Because when you play 3 spinners in Noor Ahmad, Ashwin and Jadeja, along with, they had Khalil, they played Mukesh Chaudhary, they had Patidar, who's indispensable for them. Now, at some point in time, when they're going to get away from home, they need to look at, leaving one of the spinners out.
Yes.
They certainly would not leave Jadeja out because they need his batting prowess. And Noor with his, wrist spin certainly would be more than a handful. Then who is it? The axe has to be an Ashwin. Because you need to play an extra player there who could, be more of a batting all-rounder. Because the problem has been with the top. When the other teams are going at 9, 10 and over in the power play, CSK has just not gone beyond 6 or 7. Barring the first game against MI when they won. The rest, the power play has been very, very subdued. And adding more who was... Rachin Ravindra has not fired after the first game.
Yes.
That's another worry. And Ruturaj Gaikwad again falling to the trap of the pull at deep square leg. Somewhere, between the top 3, talking about Ruturaj Gaikwad, Convoy and Rachin Ravindra, if one of them cannot go on to make a big score, because their middle order is not some batting unit that can really reel off those runs. And CSK has not been very comfortable chasing anything in excess of 180. So the likes of either the pressure is too much on the likes of say somebody like a Dubey or say Vijay Shankar or somebody like a Jadeja. And MS is not doing any good for the cause of himself or for the team, though he came into bat with 9 overs to go in the last game.
Correct.
So it is a tough ask. So it's going to be a Herculean task for CSK. What is there in the bench for them? Who's still there for them to get in as a replacement per se in terms of batting? Because their bowling is something they can still rally around, they have the experience, they can manage. But batting is a big question mark. So if this week is going to be very crucial and a couple of losses more, I think they're going to be... They resolve, put the whole thing to rest. Talks of Dhoni's parents being present at the stadium. A lot of news floating around about his continuation with the... current edition of IPL. So a lot of things are going around. To shut all the noise out and get back again is going to be tough. As I said again, another side which has shown, this IPL that they are capable of doing anything and coming back from behind.
Right.
So you never know, but it's really a big ask for them from here on.
So like you said, the coming week will be very interesting. Let's sign it off now here and talk about the coming week exactly 7 days later. Thank you, Sri, for this. Take care. Bye-bye. See you next time.
Thank you, Jikku.